3 spine-chilling Craigslist encounters, exposed tales of sinister deals and forbidden secrets. Lisa's heart raced as she scrolled through Craigslist in the dim light of her living room. Days had turned darker since she lost her job, the anxiety of impending bills and her son's upcoming birthday looming like storm clouds. 3 entries caught her eye, each tinged with a whiff of danger, each promising a mix of possibility and dread. A vintage bike, a beautiful antique mirror, and a job offering quick cash, all tantalizing, but cloaked in shadows. Each click felt like walking deeper into a murky abyss. The first listing was a vintage bike, seemingly perfect for her son. Tom, the seller, lived right down the street. He greeted her with a warm, disarming smile, his twinkling eyes hiding something heavier. "How old is your son?" he asked with unnerving familiarity, a flicker of something unsettling behind his affable demeanor. As Lisa responded, she felt a chill snake up her spine, a whisper of doubt nestled beneath her skin. Why did he want to know? Through Tom's front window, she noticed him lingering at dusk, his gaze resting too long on her. Discomfort brewed as she convinced herself she was just being paranoid. Next was Ethel's home, overflowing with dust-covered knickknacks, where the ornate mirror awaited her. Ethel's voice trembled as she spun dark tales of past owners' families that vanished, swallowed by the very reflection that hung there, drawing Lisa in. The sunlight caught the glass just right, and for a brief moment, Lisa's reflection seemed to linger, more alive than she felt. Her heart pounded as she brushed off Ethel's folklore, telling herself it was all silly. Yet unease knitted in her stomach like a tight noose. Desperate, Lisa turned to the job ad promising quick cash. The thrill of hope tempered the rising dread, but reality hit hard when she met the man in shadows. The dim light barely illuminated his sneer, the air thick with deceit. What she thought was an easy task twisted into a nightmare. As he spoke, she felt trapped, realizing this gig wasn't what it seemed. Every warning bell in her mind went off. The local authorities were oblivious while danger wrapped around her. This was a web she didn't know how to escape. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Lisa pulled away from the meeting, dread coiled tighter around her. Connections began to surface, Tom, Ethel, and the job, all part of a sinister thread woven into the fabric of Maplewood. The neighborhood, once a sanctuary, now felt like a hunting ground, each smile hiding a secret. Lisa's hands trembled, gripping her son's hand as they walked home, the air thick with palpable fear and reality's icy grip. She flicked through Tom's social media, her pulse racing uncontrollably as the truth hit her like a stone. A photo flashed. Tom was entwined with a distant dark past, shadows that crawled deep into her heart. Surrounded by faces she recognized yet couldn't place. Could it be? As a pit of despair opened in her stomach, the question hung heavy in the air: could she escape a community that was now a maze of horrors? Lisa stumbled into her home, the doors slamming shut behind her as if it sought to trap the chaos outside. Her son, Noah, was still at school, oblivious to the shadows creeping into their lives. Heart pounding, she flung herself onto the couch, clutching her phone like a lifeline. The photo of Tom burned in her mind. Those smiles, those warm faces hiding sinister stories. She had to do something. With trembling fingers, she started scrolling through social media again, desperately looking for answers. Each click felt like a betrayal, each revelation tightened the noose around her neck. It dawned on her that the names in the comments beneath Tom's pictures echoed the whispers of names she'd heard in Ethel's stories. People connected by silence and shadows. The accounts in her feed, once mundane and uninteresting, now buzzed with alarming connections, all centered around Maplewood, a quaint town with dark undercurrents she'd never fathomed. Lisa moved through the house like a ghost, suddenly aware of every creak and groan. She tried calming her racing heart, but every sound sent her spiraling further into panic. She flipped through the fridge, grabbing a bottle of water, but her mouth was parched, her throat dry. She needed air. Opening the back door, she stepped into her yard only to be met with an uncomfortable stillness. The sun was setting, casting eerie shadows that danced on the grass like specters come to play. Uneasiness swelled. She could almost feel the eyes watching her from behind darkened windows of her neighbors' homes. Were they watching her? The strand of hair on the back of her neck stood up as a predatory instinct flickered within her. As she paced the yard, her mind racing, Lisa decided she needed to confront Tom. She pulled out her phone and stared at his number, fear mixing with determination. What if he is dangerous? A voice inside her whispered. But now she felt something else, a cold anger rising alongside her fear. She couldn't be cornered in her own life, not while her son's safety was at stake. The ringing in her ears intensified, a harbinger of unraveling threads. When she finally pressed call, it felt like stepping off a cliff. It rang and rang. The more it rang, the more her pulse skittered. Finally, there was an answer, but not Tom's voice. It was a hollow, raspy laugh that chilled her blood. "Hello Lisa," the voice hissed, recognizing her like a predator savoring a prized catch. Her breath caught. "Who is this?" "Oh, just someone who knows you and your little secrets." The voice dripped with malice, each word twisted in the dim light of her yard. "You should really be more careful about who you trust in Maplewood." Every sinister tale she'd heard from Ethel roared back in her mind. They weren't just stories. Her hands shook violently as she dropped the phone. It clattered to the ground, screen cracking, curdling her heart. The air was suffocating now, filled with shadows encroaching from all sides. Running back inside, she quickly locked the door and pressed her back against it, struggling to breathe. She needed to dig deeper, to face the darkness enveloping her. She couldn't let fear win. Noah would be home soon. She glanced outside one last time, and something caught her eye. A figure lingered at the end of the street, just beyond the shrubbery, shrouded in deepening twilight. The figure seemed to melt further into the shadows, almost daring her to follow. As adrenaline surged, she realized this was her moment, to plunge into this abyss or retreat into the safety of ignorance. What lay ahead in those shadows? The choice was quickly being taken from her. When she grabbed her keys, she didn't know what awaited her in the dark, but one thing was clear: this fight for her family's safety had only begun. And she was done waiting for the monster to come to her. The question lingered in her mind: would she face the danger head-on, or would she allow the darkness to consume her? Lisa's heart raced as she stepped into the night, the chill creeping past her skin like icy fingers. The figure at the end of the street felt like a magnet, pulling her toward the unknown. Each step was heavy, laden with a mix of dread and determination. The streetlights flickered above her, their light barely piercing the gathering gloom. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, snapping her from the haze of fear. It was a message from a number she didn't recognize. "You shouldn't go out there, Lisa. You don't know what you're walking into." A cold sweat trickled down her spine. Someone was watching her, someone who knew what she had just done. But she couldn't turn back. Not now. Lisa took a deep breath, the air sharp and biting. The figure shifted slightly, a silhouette against the darkness. It seemed almost human but moved with an unsettling grace. She pressed forward, her mind racing through every story Ethel had told. The masked figures, the whispered secrets, the buried truths. They all swarmed in her head now like the buzzing of angry wasps. "Hello." She called out, her voice stronger than she felt. The darkness swallowed her words. The figure stepped closer, revealing a face partially obscured by shadows. All she could see were eyes, a deep, unsettling black that bore into her soul. "You're looking for answers, aren't you?" The voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. "Tom has been waiting for you." Every instinct screamed at her to run, to flee back into her home where it was safe, but she stood her ground. "What do you know about Tom?" "Everything." The figure smiled, a wide, chilling grin that sent waves of nausea through her. And more. Just then, a distant sound echoed behind her. The familiar hum of the school bus rattled through the quiet streets. Panic ignited within her. Noah would be home soon. She couldn't let him get caught in this web of fear. What do you want with me? More than you could ever imagine. The secrets of Maplewood run deep, Lisa. Deeper than even your pretty little mind can fathom. With a sudden burst, Lisa lunged back, instincts kicking in. She turned on her heel and bolted towards home, her feet pounding on the pavement. The air felt thicker now, pressure mounting around her like a vice. Behind her, she could sense the figure following, its footsteps eerily silent. She made it through her front door and slammed it shut, locking it with shaky hands. The house was too quiet, too still, alerts buzzing in her head. What had she just encountered? Noah! She shouted, her voice ricocheting off the walls. She ran to the window, peering out at the still dark street. She saw nothing but shadows. Disjointed memories of her conversation with Tom flooded her mind. The clues and harrowing connections swirled, forming a mesh that was almost visible in her thought process. She turned to the curtains, watching the small movements of wind bending the fabric, making them dance like specters trying to come inside. What had she unleashed? The voice, the silhouette, and now thought spiraled, leading her to a chilling conclusion. She knew she had to uncover the truth of Maplewood. She could not let the darkness claim her or her son. Just as she finished that thought, a heavy knock reverberated through the house. Someone was outside. Lisa, let me in. The voice was familiar yet changed, laced with an unnatural edge that made her blood run cold. Her breath hitched, and her grip tightened on the counter, the world spinning slightly. Could it be Tom? Or something far worse? As she analyzed the fearful shadows gathering around her, she thought, what if it's not just the figure in the street but the very fabric of Maplewood that's watching? One thing was glaringly clear: she was standing on the precipice of a nightmare, and she had no idea how deep the rabbit hole went. The tension in the air thickened, pressing in on her as she moved toward the door, heart hammering in her chest. Would she open it? Or was this the moment she'd finally confront the fear that had shadowed her since moving here? Lisa's heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the trepidation lurking in the corners of her mind. The voice outside felt like a serpent's hiss, enticing yet venomous. She hesitated, frozen between the door and the suffocating tension around her. Each knock rattled in her chest like the beating of a drum signaling impending doom. Mom! I'm home. Noah's youthful voice cut through the fog of dread, an echo of safety amidst the madness outside. Relief washed over her, and yet dread gripped her heart tighter. The soft rustle of plastic bags filled the air as Noah grabbed a snack from his backpack. Lisa felt a wave of urgency. Noah, stay in your room. She yelled, her voice rising in panic. She turned back to the door, glancing through the peephole, but all she saw was the shifting darkness. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled, and she felt it, the lurking presence, a shadow too deep for the light of the street lamps. Lisa, the voice outside had shifted again, twisting into something more sinister. Open the door. It's only me. But this wasn't the Tom she knew. The words dripped with something unnatural, something wrong. With every second that passed, the air grew heavier, colder. Time stretched out as she kept her gaze locked on the door, feeling the suffocating pressure of the unknown pushing against her. Noah! Lock your door! She barked, her body instinctively moving toward the hall. She could almost feel the presence pooling behind her, darkness closing in like a predator stalking its prey. Mom! What's wrong? His voice quivered slightly, an innocent questioning echoing against the walls thick with fear. Just stay in there. She shouted again, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a caged animal. She couldn't let whatever was outside gain access to him. A hollow laugh resonated from the other side of the door. You think you're safe? You've opened a door much wider than you know. Tom has been waiting a long time for you. every syllable twisted like a dagger in her gut. Gripped by an overwhelming sense of dread, Lisa slipped closer to the door, resting an ear against the cold wood. In that instant, she felt the budding awareness of something shifting in the air. It crackled like energy before a storm, vibrating with potential violence. Noah's door clicked closed behind him, and he yelled, "Mom! I think something's wrong. I don't like this." She spun on her heel, moving toward him in a panic, her fingers trembling. "I need you to listen. Whatever's out there is not what it seems. We need to." The sound of a fist slamming against the door jolted her, reverberating through the house with a violence that rattled her bones. "Open the door." The voice was now an echoing growl, demanding and desperate. "Noah, stay away from the front." She darted toward her son, a protective instinct igniting within her. She needed to think, to act. "We can't let it in, whatever it is." But as her eyes flicked back toward the door, the reality of their situation hit her like a punch to the gut. The figure in the street wasn't just an ominous shadow, it had transformed into something larger, darker, a deeper evil tethered to the very roots of Maplewood. And now, whatever it was close. Her mind reeled, flashing to Ethel's stories, the townsfolk who vanished, hushed whispers of sacrifices made and deals struck under the cover of the night. This was the reckoning. "Lisa," the voice returned, now layered with a dissonance that felt like ice scraping against bone. "What have you done?" A thud against the door echoed her spiraling thoughts. Fear curled its fingers around her throat. They had to act fast. With trembling hands, she grabbed her phone from the counter, heart racing. She scrolled through her contacts, desperately searching for someone who could help, but the battery icon flickered ominously, just 5 enough for one call. "Mom! What do we do?" Noah's eyes were wide, revealing the stark fear reflected back at her. And then it hit her, a chilling sense of urgency. They needed answers, but opening that door could unleash an even greater terror. If it was Tom on the other side, if he was still alive, how much had he truly changed? The decision loomed, thick in the air like the growing shadows. "Tell me, Lisa, are you ready to face what's waiting for you?" In that moment, she realized that some doors, once opened, can never be shut again. What awaited them on the other side? The truth was just beginning to unfold. The room felt like it was shrinking, the very walls pulsating with dread as Lisa held the phone, her last lifeline, trembling in her fist. "Noah, listen carefully. If you hear anything or feel something, just stay quiet," she whispered, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. He nodded, his wide eyes still glistening with fear. The banging on the door intensified, each thud echoing like a sinister heartbeat, a rhythmic insistence that sliced through her resolve. "You have no idea what I've become, Lisa. Open the door and find out," the voice purred, each word drenched in a horrific allure that made her gut twist. She felt the chill creep up her spine as her mind began to spin. There had been tales whispered around the town regarding the deep woods beyond Maplewood. They called it the Hollow. It was said that the souls of those who made deals with dark powers lingered there, twisted and rotting. What if Tom had found a way in? "Noah, there's something I need to tell you." "It's about Tom," she began, but the sudden crack of splintering wood interrupted her. "Mom!" Noah shrieked. They spun toward the door, Lisa's heart racing, adrenaline surging through her veins. From the middle of the door, a gap began to form. Just inches from her own skin, splintered wood fell away like crumbling dreams. "Open up, Lisa," came the hiss again, smooth and oily. And then, a hand, thin and elongated, slipped through the widening gap, bearing nails that gleamed like blackened glass. She stumbled back, the phone slipping from her fingers, clattering to the floor. The metallic clank echoed around them, and she barely registered when Noah let out a whimper beside her. "Don't! Get away!" she yelled, moving to shield her son. But that hand, impossibly agile, wiggled, curling like a snake. It pulled, stretching further as if reaching for something her. Why don't you want to play, Lisa? The voice shifted again, now mocking, a cruel parody of their past. Don't you miss our games? Memories surged in her mind, light and dark, mixing with the dread of this moment. Games they played when they were younger, innocent laughter and fun. But now, their haunting shadows turned into threats. Her eyes darted around, searching for anything she could use, something to fight back. It landed on a heavy lamp. She lunged for it, gripping the cold metal as the darkness clawed at the door. Get away from us. With a primal scream, she swung it, crashing it against the door where the hand lurked, intending to sever that sinister connection. The lamp shattered, sending shards of glass and metal clattering to the floor, but the force behind the door did not relent. Instead, a low growl erupted. The laughter morphed into a raucous shriek, slicing through the chilling night air. What have you done? It screamed, reverberating through her bones. Noah, behind me! Lisa yelled, pushing her son back as she braced herself against the door, heart hammering like a warrior in battle. She could feel the pulse of malevolence invading the air, suffocating and raw. Noah, listen, just grab something. She commanded, trying to stay strong for him despite the fear clawing at her guts. As Noah fumbled behind her, lifting a broken piece of wood from the ground, the pounding increased, a cacophony of chaos urging her to surrender. Over the roar, the voice wheezed, I only want to play. The sudden ringing of her phone flooded the tension, causing both of them to freeze. But it wasn't just a call. The ringtone was the tune Tom had once loved, the same melody that had fueled their childhood escapades. Mom, what's happening? Noah quaked, eyes darting between her and the door. Something I need to know, she whispered, fear and hope entwined. With a glance towards the door, she made a choice. Who was on the other end? Would it help them, or was it all a trick? The sound of the melody mingling with the chaos outside sent her heart racing. As she picked up, her breath sucker punched from her lungs, she could only whisper, please, whoever you are, help me. Would the call reveal salvation or doom? The truth was closer than she'd ever imagined. The call connected with a crackle, as if the very air had split open to reveal malevolence lurking on the other side. Lisa's heart thudded in her chest like a war drum, despair battling against hope as silence stretched like a thin veil. Hello? Lisa? The voice whispered through the line, smooth and slick, almost inviting. It was familiar, oozing with a deceptive comfort that made her skin crawl. Tom. She gasped, the name just a breath away from her lips. It's good to hear your voice, Lisa. I've missed our little chats. The words dripped with a sickening sweetness, resonating deep inside her memories. No. You're not Tom. You can't be. Her voice trembled, echoing the lie she desperately wanted to believe. Noah, it's not him. She turned sharply, her eyes locking onto her son, who stood frozen, a wooden shard clenched in white-knuckled fingers. The air felt charged, heavy with unutterable dread. The dreaded thumping continued, relentless and insatiable, as the voice on the phone continued, I'm much more than you remember, Lisa. How would you like to play a game? A choice, just like before. No. Just stop. She whispered into the receiver, desperation threading through every syllable. I'm offering you a chance, it purred. A chance to set things right, to save him. Noah's eyes were wide, glistening with confusion as he searched her face. Mom, what's happening? I'm scared. Stay quiet, Noah. Her throat constricted as she took in the hand still clawing at the door, now joined by a second, gnarled and grotesque, as the thing beyond began to push harder against the barrier. Just a few simple choices, Lisa. Let me in, and I'll show you. Panic ignited within her. Who had Tom really become? She wanted to scream, to tear away the darkness closing in on her, but she knew they had to get out. With a deep breath, she forced herself to look again towards the door, its surface splintering under unimaginable pressure. Her instincts told her to run, but she clutched the phone tighter, needing answers even as the terror threatened to swallow her whole. Tell me how to save him, she insisted, her voice betraying only a quiver of defiance. The laughter that erupted from the other end was haunting, echoing feverishly in the confines of the room. Ah, sweetness, it's not that simple. You'll have to decide what you're willing to sacrifice. A sickening chill ran down her spine as the creature outside seemed to sense the shift in her focus. The wooden floor creaked as it shifted, the knocking sound morphing into a chilling laughter that reverberated through her head. Noah! She shouted, losing her grip on the moment. Hold on to something. Keep back. She hesitated, torn between picking up the phone, the lifeline that felt too close to the edge of a knife, and the growing commotion behind the door. Make a choice, Lisa, the voice lingered in her ear, the tone now dripping with malice. If you don't decide soon, I may make it for you. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she inhaled sharply. Every instinct screamed to hang up, distance herself from the voice, but the promise of saving Tom hung in the air like a heavy fog, and then a voice from behind the door spoke. A voice unlike the one on the phone, deep and guttural, breaking through the facade like a crack in the darkness. Lisa. Let me in. We have something to discuss. She froze, pulse racing, her heart caught in a roller coaster of terror. Who was she making deals with? Noah, what do we do? She pleaded, panic swelling as she clutched the phone tighter, torn between salvation and horror. The choice lay before her, shimmering in dark, a path she couldn't yet see. Each heartbeat synced with the echoing threat, a countdown she was all too aware of. Mom, I don't want to lose you. Noah cried, small and shaky, his fear palpable in the air. Just as the growling intensified, battering against the door with a ferocity that felt supernatural, the phone slipped from her grasp. In a moment of vulnerability, before it clattered to the floor, she heard the final word on the line, choose. The door finally gave way, a dark mass looming in the entrance as her mind raced to process the dread reality unfolding. A nightmare was crashing into the light. And in that moment, the darkness surged forward, lips curling into a menacing smile. Now, the game begins. How much was she willing to lose? And could she protect Noah from the coming storm? The truth was only a heartbeat away. The darkness surged with a hunger that clawed at Lisa's mind. She stumbled backward, pulling Noah along with her, their bodies colliding with the wall, hearts racing. The oppressive shadow flooded the room, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. What had just broken through the door? Mom! What is happening? Noah's voice trembled, splitting through her reverie. Panic surged in her chest as she scanned the dimly lit room, searching for something to fight back with. In the murky gloom, the entity materialized, a grotesque figure, its features melting and shifting, echoing the face of someone familiar. The stench of decay hung heavily in the air, clawing at her senses. It leaned closer, breaths ragged and putrid, whispering sweet nothings that twisted her heart. Do you see, Lisa? I'm here to help you. No. You're not Tom. She shouted, conviction beating against the fear. But she could feel the words unraveling her resolve. Are you sure? It paused, letting a chuckle resonate in the silence, deep and menacing. I can give you back what you've lost, all the while making your precious little boy a part of the deal. The figure's hand stretched out, fingers flicking like spiders crawling toward them. Noah, watch out! She cried, lunging forward almost instinctively. The creature recoiled, the moment's shock freezing it. Even as shadows danced around them, she felt an overwhelming need to protect her son. Run! She screamed, yanking Noah toward the only escape, the narrow staircase leading to the basement, but the horror reached out, a shadow spun with dread. It reached for them, and each touch left a frigid scar on her mind. Just as they passed the threshold of the doorway, the thing hissed, "You can't escape the game, Lisa. You must choose." The basement door creaked shut behind them, a heavy thud echoing. Darkness swallowed them, its weight crippling. Lisa steadied her breath, forcing each one against the terror that clung to her skin like a wet cloth. Noah, listen to me. We have to be quiet, really quiet. Noah nodded, his eyes wide with fear. The dim light from a single bulb overhead flickered weakly, casting ominous shadows across the cracked concrete walls. Lisa turned, feeling the electric tension in the air. They could hide, could wait it out if only they didn't hear the reverberating laughter creeping down the stairs. "Did you forget about me already, Lisa?" "I'm right outside," the creature taunted, its voice curling around them like smoke. "I won't let it take you," she whispered fiercely to Noah. He clutched her arm, the chill creeping through him evident in his pale face. The laughter grew louder, filling the tight space. A sudden realization hit her. She had to make a choice. The phone call hadn't just threatened. It could also hold a hidden answer, a way to expose the creature, to break its hold. But what would that cost her? "What do we have to do, Noah?" "I don't know, Mom, but I'm scared." The shadows pulsed again, and Lisa felt the warmth of determination ignite inside her. She could not show fear. "Keep your eyes on me. We will find a way to outsmart it." The being outside the door hissed, its voice warping with rage. "You can't hide forever. You'll choose, and I'll make that choice cruel." The wall felt like it was closing in, but Lisa steeled herself. They could face this together. Suddenly, a faint glimmer caught her attention. There, nestled between the floorboards, was the phone she had dropped. "Mom!" Noah whispered urgently, his eyes wide as the laughter faded momentarily. "Stay here, Noah. Don't move." With resolve, she crept toward the phone. Each step felt like wading through quicksand, her heart beat louder than the terror outside. Just as she grasped it, the door splintered again, and the creature's guttural chuckle echoed through the narrow space. "Your choice awaits, Lisa. Or perhaps, deeper darkness will choose for you." Breath hitching, forehead slick with sweat, she had to ask the question, could she save Tom? Would her next choice seal their fate? The darkness beckoned her, voracious and seductive. The truth carried a weight she was terrified to hold. What would she have to sacrifice to face it? In that echoing silence, the game unfolded, with each precise moment ticking away. What she would discover next could doom them or set fire to the code lying beneath their fears. The phone slipped through her fingers, clattering against the floor. A wave of frustration and panic washed over Lisa as she lunged for it again, but even as her hands grasped the cold plastic, the creature's malevolence seeped deeper into the cracks of her mind. "Are you really going to try and call for help? Out here, the only thing that answers is me," it sneered, its voice dripping with disdain. "Noah," she whispered fiercely, squeezing her son's hand. "We need to get out of here, now." But the sounds around them twisted and morphed, each echoing laughter warping into desperate cries, rattling her resolve. It was as if the basement itself was alive, conjuring a world built of their worst fears. Shadows writhed along the wall, shifting like the panic clawing at her chest. "Just a little longer, Lisa. I promise not to harm him much," the creature said, oozing taunts. The air thickened with a sense of foreboding, almost urging her to give in. All she had to do was surrender, just like Tom did. "Mom, please." Noah squeaked, the weight of his fear pressing down harder. The sound of their breaths was overshadowed by an unsettling rustle outside, a sharp movement unnaturally close. "Shush," she murmured, her senses heightened. She pressed a finger to her lips, urging Noah to silence. Suddenly, the dim light flickered violently before plunging them into darkness. Only the echo of the creature's laughter echoed through the black, and it felt like an uninvited guest clawing at the edges of her sanity. "Do you remember your promise, Lisa?" It hissed, sounding closer now, each word like sizzling venom. "To bring him back. I can help with that, let me show you." Then, soft whispers filled her mind, swirling tendrils of memories that made her heart race. Moments of joyous laughter, painful goodbyes, the look in Tom's eyes when he said goodbye, a desperate look that felt wholly wrong now. The darkness knew her heart, knew her weaknesses, and those whispers, they manipulated what always remained hidden. Lisa shook her head, trying to clear the fog. We'll find a way, together, she insisted. The shadows stilled for just a heartbeat, and she thought she felt a glimmer of the outside world creeping back, but dread held her tight. The room felt colder, the air so thin. And then Noah's gasp shattered the moment. "Mom, look!" At the far end of the basement, something shifted. The darkness momentarily peeled away to reveal a door she had never seen before, the wood dark and warped, an invitation wrapped in malice. Danger hung in the air, thickening like humidity, it was beckoning. The creature's laughter swelled, louder and more grotesque. "You see. The choice is yours. Open the door or stay in the shadows." "No." Lisa's voice was fierce. She gripped Noah's shoulders, adrenaline surging. "We can't trust it." "But what if?" Noah murmured, eyes big and pleading, torn between surviving and risking everything to save someone he barely remembered. "Don't!" she snapped, her heart racing. Noah looked like he might cry, and that broke her more than any darkness could. Yet the door it pulsed with a strange energy, like a heartbeat of its own. What lay beyond? "We need to be smart. If I call for help on this phone it won't matter. It's only a matter of time before you'll have to choose." The creature's voice dripped with insidious glee, an echoing reminder of stakes she could barely comprehend. Lisa's resolve wavered, doubt crept in, thin claws wrapped around her conscience. But to sacrifice Noah to save Tom? What kind of mother would choose that? The whispers turned to screams, drowning out her thoughts. Just then, the light flickered back on, casting the basement in a harsh glow. There it was, the door waiting. "You know the price." The entity howled, fury igniting in its voice. A horde of shadows swarmed around, converging, wild and chaotic, as if they were preparing to tear the very fabric of the room apart. "Run!" she screamed, instinctively ushering Noah toward the door. But it loomed in their way, solid and defiant. "Make your choice, Lisa. Leave the past behind or let it consume you." And with every ounce of strength she had left, she faced the grotesque visage of her fears. The glow flickered, and darkness surged forward. "Mom, please." Noah's voice faded beneath the cacophony. In that moment, a horrifying truth settled in, she might have to confront her darkest self, not to save, but to survive. "Which choice will you make, Lisa?" The game was on, but she had yet to grasp what the true stakes would cost her. What lay behind the door? And would she dare find out? The walls shuddered with the creature's rage, the vibrations thick with threat. Lisa's heart raced like a drum pounding for survival, and in that frantic moment, all thoughts of Tom faded. It was only Noah, the small hand clasping hers, shaking with raw fear, that mattered now. "Mom, I don't want to go in there," he whimpered, glancing at the door that loomed like a gaping maw. But Lisa could sense the magnetic pull of the door through the haze of chaos. It might lead them to safety or dreadful fate. "Just breathe, Noah. We won't let it win," she urged, but her voice trembled. Shadows lunged, tickling at her ankles like icy fingers, testing their resolve. With a swift movement, she yanked Noah toward the door, feeling the pressure for action weigh heavier than the darkness surrounding them. "We have to push through." Noah hesitated, wide eyes darting between her and the encroaching blackness. In that terrifying instant, he caught sight of something, glimmers of white fabric barely visible in the shadows, faint echoes of laughter that trailed off just as quickly into nothing. Is it Tom?" he stammered, yearning and hopeful. The creature's words replayed in her mind, reminding her of promises made and debts owed. But how could she trust anything that twisted hope into fear? "We can't look back. We have to focus." As her pulse thundered in her ears, the door seemed to pulse in response. It called to her, steady and deceptive. Her grip tightened on Noah's hand, and she felt an undeniable urge to twist the knob and open it. "No." The creature's voice rose, distorted yet commanding. "You open that door, and you surrender to the past. I promise you, it will never end well." Mom! Noah squeaked, fear making him bold. What if we find him? The air froze. The thought of finding Tom pulled at her heartstrings, but the whispers quickly morphed into menacing shouts, flooding her head with panic. What if he's not who you remember? What if it's a trap? The shadows swirled like a violent maelstrom, and she sensed them closing in, suffocating. Time stood still, her breath shallow as reality twisted into something far more sinister. Mom! Noah's voice shattered the stillness, thick with innocence and courage. Please, let us go. I want to be safe. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, grounding herself in the here and now. The world blurring around them fell into focus. Noah was her priority. We can do this, buddy. Just trust me. No. You want to run? Then run into darkness. The entity's voice speared through the air, sharp and malicious. The shadows writhed aggressively, searching for weakness. Lisa squared her shoulders, heart racing in tandem with the echoes of her thoughts. What if we become trapped? She thought, suddenly paralyzed by the very question she sought to avoid. The door felt like a metaphorical edge, one that could plunge them into despair or deliverance. Mom, we have to go. Noah's plea ignited a flame in her resolve. Okay. She took a small step back, then decisively lunged for the door, yanking it open. Adrenaline surged like wildfire through her veins. What lay beyond was a swirling abyss. Cold air slashed through, wrapping them in a tight embrace of despair. Inside, she could glimpse flickering lights, disjointed images of faces, excitement mingled with terror. Was it a trap, or some glimmer of hope disguised as a nightmare? Hurry! Noah cried, not wanting to be pulled into the unknown. But Lisa hesitated. What if behind that door was the truth she didn't want to face? A familiar voice, Tom's voice, echoed in the back of her mind, taunting her, and she couldn't decipher reality anymore. Choose. Choose now. The creature shrieked from the shadows as dread cloaked them both. She knew, deep down, that choosing the door could mean unleashing a horror greater than she could imagine. In despair, she turned to Noah. Do you trust me? He nodded, fear visible in his watery eyes. With a resolve reminiscent of a desperate mother's love, she clasped his hand tight in hers. The abyss awaited, but the choice had to be made. Step into the light. And as they took that fateful step forward, the darkness screamed, rattling Lisa's very core, but as the door creaked wide open, what lay ahead? Would they find what they sought, or would it be the ultimate betrayal? What awaited them on the other side of the door? Was it salvation or something far worse? As Lisa and Noah stepped through the threshold, the world around them shifted violently. What started as a soft pull morphed into a blustering wind, swirling with colors that melded into shades of despair and hope. The darkness retreated, pulled back like a curtain, revealing a landscape warped and beautiful, yet deeply unsettling. Where are we? Noah whispered, his voice tremoring in the air thick with uncertainty. I don't know, buddy, Lisa replied, squeezing his hand tightly. The ground beneath their feet pulsed with life, a myriad of emotions swallowed in the depths of shadows that loomed on the periphery. It felt like a dream or perhaps a nightmare. Before them, faces flickered in the distance. Familiar yet foreign. Joy mingled with sadness, and among them, Lisa felt a deep yearning tug at her heart. She glanced at Noah, who appeared both terrified and captivated by the sight. Mom, do you think those people are? They're lost, Noah, she breathed, the weight of realization heavy on her soul. They were the missing ones, the townsfolk from her nightmares, the names whispered by Ethel. But were they merely echoes, or something more tangible? Do you see them, Lisa? A voice purred, silkily weaving through the air. The familiarity of it sent cold ripples down her spine. Tom stood before them, a figment made flesh, morphed by the shadows that clung to him. I told you I could help. Tom. Her breath grew ragged, caught between longing and revulsion. What happened to you? Oh, this is what I've become, he smiled, the warmth of old memories suffocated by something sinister lurking behind his eyes. This place, it holds everything we've ever lost and everything we're afraid to find. Behind him, the faces in the distance twisted, pulling into the shadows, revealing longing and fear tinged with desperation. Lisa could see their eyes, those pained gazes, pleading for help, searching for release. A surge of dread washed over her. Mom! We need to go. Noah shouted as shadows shifted ominously beside them, clawing at the edges, desperate to pull them back. Lisa stepped forward, defiance igniting her chest. Let them go, Tom. We're not here to play games. You can't keep them. His smile faded, ice replacing warmth. You misunderstand, Lisa. It is not the past I keep, it's the choices we made from it. You're here now. You can bring them with you if you're willing to pay the price. Prices, Noah whispered, afraid, unwavering, as shadows circled tighter. What kind of price? Lost time, lost moments, Tom crooned, his voice raising an unbearable weight, a seductive whisper. But for you, Lisa, the cost will be deeper than you imagine. Your love, your trust, but that of your son too. No. She gasped, gripped by the fear of losing Noah to this madness. I'd never trade him for anything. Is that so? The darkness pulsed. You underestimate the power of sacrifice. You've seen the depths of pain. Trust me, it's simply a choice you make. Noah, we need to go back, she said, her pulse racing. This isn't right. As she turned away, she felt the ground tremble, the voices rising behind her, angry and despairing echoes of those who had given in, who had worn the shackles of choices made. She felt their cold embrace sliding against her skin. Each whisper tugged at an unseen thread, pulling her deeper into the labyrinth of pain. Mom! Noah cried, his little hand pulling her back. It snapped her out of the haze. She looked back at Tom, who was grinning wider, shadows licking at his heels like hungry pets. This is your moment, Lisa. Choose to give in, he beckoned. The room around them echoed with disbelief, and she could see the vortex swirling, its intensity amplifying around her. Her heart screamed against the walls of her ribcage. No, she shouted defiantly. I won't give in. I won't lose my son to your twisted games. The shadows shivered, the air rent with loathsome rage. Tom's expression twisted, revealing a glimpse of the monster beneath the surface as he drew closer. You think you can stop this? The darkness feeds on your sacrifices. The faces in the void began to scream, a cacophony of cries for rescue and freedom, reminding her of the lives consumed by the very choices they made. Mom! Noah pressed against her tightly, each breath shuddering as he curled against her hip. You won't let it take me, right? Noah, the world blurred, echoed shadows whispering her name, their desperate desire for release seeping into her. She felt their pain, driving her resolve but shaking her mercy. In that moment, Lisa saw it all, the choice before her, not just to move forward, but to face down what had haunted her. They've suffered enough. She declared, heart hammering in her chest. I reject your darkness, she shouted. The ground quaked, and shadows recoiled. A wicked laughter erupted, but was suddenly cut short as she lunged for the portal they had emerged from. We're going home. With every ounce of strength, she gripped Noah's hand, running toward the vanishing reverberations of light. Together, they crossed the threshold as shadows screamed, their cries growing hollow and fading. The last glimpse of Tom twisted between realms, a horrid reminder of the choices they narrowly escaped. As they stumbled back into the dim light of their living room, breathless, the air felt lighter. Lisa locked the door, heart racing but free. Mom! Noah looked up, worry brimming in his eyes. What if they come back? The darkness can only hold power if we let it, she replied, hugging him tight against her chest, realizing as long as they were together, they would never let fear win again. In that moment, sunlight filtered in through the windows, casting away the shadows, a gentle reminder of hope reborn. She hugged Noah tightly, their bond stronger than any game of deceit. It was over. They had faced the darkness, and together, they had chosen the light. Remember, you need to subscribe now to never miss a story like this again. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your love for these tales. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, or theories about what you just witnessed. Every opinion matters, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know the truth of these spine-chilling encounters. Be the one to spread the word.